Hey everyone, Codex here. I hope you're doing fantastic. So today we'll be taking a look at Solana once again and we'll be discussing if this downtrend will continue as we move forward or if we will experience another relief phase like the one we hit in here, because Solana has really just been moving sideways lately, which has made a lot of people start wondering where we might be heading next. So if you guys like the content, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure to join our Telegram channel. So Solana has been quite the talk of this channel lately, as we discussed that this phase was only a relief phase before we go lower, and we made an entire video about that which you can later on watch, and we made it clear that we do expect a downtrend to happen after this move. Also, the last time we talked about Solana, what I said is that although a lot of people, especially bears, expect us to drop brutally like we did in here, I do not think that a brutal and fast move down will happen. Because back in here, we were already in a long bearish phase, and so it was much easier to push the prices lower as the sentiment was way worse than now. Where here, we just had this amazing uptrend a couple of weeks ago, and so far, so good. Solana hasn't had the brutal move down that a lot of people have expected. We also know that Solana hasn't really been doing much lately, and it has just been holding that $100 mark and hovering around that price, trying to remain up there because that's a very important psychological level. But honestly, to me, it still looks like we will be heading again to this $80 to $85 range, which is where Solana has built a basis when it first dropped from our all-time high in this brutal fashion before bouncing back up. Now, if we take a look at the Phoenix Ascending indicator on the daily time frame to understand the current momentum, we can see something very important happening, and you really need to focus on this. So, just look how the red RSI and blue LSMA are still below the level of 50, which means that we still have a downward pressure on this time frame. But the more concerning part about this is that although the red RSI has tried to go up above the medial line to trigger some bullish momentum, the blue LSMA, which is playing the role of a resistance now, is still falling down, indicating insignificant buy orders. What the blue LSMA is saying right here is that there weren't enough buyers for us to reverse like in here, because back in here the blue LSMA and red RSI went up high, triggering our bullish momentum, where now we don't have the same thing showing up. And honestly, this is now starting to look similar to what we had in here when we were falling down brutally. Look how the red RSI started to go up to trigger a bullish momentum, because we know that the red RSI is what triggers the uptrend at first when it goes up high. And frankly, things started improving in here for a while, of course, for a couple of days. But the blue line was just falling down, indicating a trap. And following that, we ended up crashing down. And this isn't to say that Solana will crash down or anything like it. This is simply me saying that based on what we have, we don't have enough buyers to push us back up. What we need right now is the blue LSMA and red RSI to go up again and trend up high above the medial line like it did in here or also here, although this move didn't really last for long. But we need something like that on our indicator. Another thing we need to take a look at, and this is mainly long term, is the stochastic RSI. And look, on the weekly, we have just got a bearish cross, and it seems like the blue line is gonna start winning its downside race against the orange line. And this is what we hit in here, which ended up with us dropping by 80%. We've had the exact same thing in here, bearish cross, and then both lines started falling down and the price also crashed. And yes, we did recover these two times, but as we always say, recovering once or twice or even three times doesn't necessarily mean that we will always recover in a short period of time. So moving forward to last year, we also had the same exact thing, and although we did put a new all-time high after having our first bearish cross, exiting in here was still a smart idea, because you would have avoided a 50 to a 60% drop. And so now it's the same thing, and if the orange line falls down within the next 2 to 3 weeks, then that would be a major bearish signal indicating further bearish momentum. And again, I do not make these rules. I didn't choose for things to be this way. It's just what the charts are saying. If you ask me personally, I do still expect us to revisit this $80 mark this quarter, of course. I'm not saying today, I'm not saying this week, I'm saying this quarter, which is from April to June. I did expect this move to happen, and I even made a video about it in the past and discussed relief rallies on my Patreon and my theory about that topic, and I compared Solana to Ethereum as well as their trends. And what I'm expecting after we got our relief rally is this part to happen with Solana, which is what we had with Ethereum back in 2017, 2018. Moving on to Solana BTC, and we need to discuss this briefly as I think it's very important to compare altcoins to Bitcoin and also Ethereum. So we can see that from the start of this year, Solana is down about 30% against BTC, which means that Bitcoin has been outperforming Solana this year so far. Now, on the macro scale, Solana has been hammering Bitcoin, and just by looking at how much Solana has went up by in the last 2 years or so, you can clearly see that it has destroyed BTC, but we need to focus on what's happening now, because the past is in the past, and Solana will just keep losing its value against Bitcoin if we enter a prolonged bear market. And this is why I always say that exposing yourself to altcoins heavily is a bad idea. And this is why I also say that investing into altcoins in bear markets isn't really the best approach. Because as I said, in a bearish phase or in a bear market, Solana will just keep losing its value against BTC and also Ethereum. And so buying Ethereum and Bitcoin and then swapping them to Solana when the uptrend starts again and when the bull market prevails is the better approach in my opinion. And if we will experience something like this with Solana in the future where it gets demolished against BTC and Ethereum, then I think it's time to start asking yourself if you are really doing the best thing for yourself and for your portfolio. I don't have the right answers for you. Everyone has his own approach, but I hope that mine makes sense to you. So that was about it, guys. Thanks for sticking by till the end. Don't forget to leave the video a thumbs up. Comment down below your thoughts on Solana, of course. Let me know if you have any different thoughts or approaches. Have a nice day and see you in the next video.